Welcome to the Bella Vista Gardening Program. I'm Jerry Horner, and with me today is fellow Benton County Master Gardener Kitty Casanova. And Kitty works at the Village Wastewater Company and is very involved with the Nature's Calling program that they handle. And we're talking today about saving seeds and taking cuttings, and a little bit more about Nature's Calling, trying to figure out what that's all about.
All right.
And we'll also be talking about what to do in your garden for this month in August, and also upcoming events. So upcoming events is the Benton County Fair, which will be held Tuesday, August 11th to August 15th, Saturday.
Okay.
And the Master Gardeners have a booth outside, like they always do, but they also this year have a booth inside. So they'll have more information inside, and they'll be doing the horticulture, produce, you know, the tomatoes and all those contests.
And that is such a good place.
It's wonderful.
To learn.
Mm-hmm. We have a lot of learning there. And also they're doing the flower show, or the design of flowers, and the horticulture, where you bring in your flowers and your shrubs and, you know, specimens, and then you can get blue ribbons.
Get them judged, yeah.
And you can make money. You can get money for your, if you get a blue ribbon, you get $1 or $2 or something.
Oh boy.
So anyway, that's going to be in August 11th through the 15th. And that's also the time when you can sign up for Master Gardener classes. So if you want to become a Master Gardener, that's the time when you go and sign up for those classes at the fair, and you put your application in, and the classes are in January, and they have more information on their website too. It's Benton County, no, it's Benton County Gardening. I forget what their website is. I think we'll show it later. But anyway, the fair also has a website, and theirs is Benton County Fair ar.org. So there's more information about the fair at that website. There's so many websites out there now.
I know.
And you can find out all kinds of information. So, but anyway, today, Kitty, I want to talk about Nature's Calling.
Okay.
And get some history of that.
Sure.
And what it does and what it's all about.
Okay. Well, good morning. I work at the Village Wastewater Company, which is the sewer treatment plant here in town. And I've actually been there about 21 years. About 12 or 13 years ago, we needed to do something with our biosolids, which biosolids is what's created once sewage is treated. And the way we treat the sewage at the plant up there, we have a 7-acre lagoon, and the end product flows out in the lagoon and sits in there for 7 years, and there's good little bugs in there.
Oh,
they eat all the bad stuff.
Microbacterial things working.
And the end product is actually a lot like Milorganite, which a lot of people are familiar with.
Well, Milorganite, you can buy that, you know, at almost any garden center, and it's a fertilizer.
And that actually, Milorganite, it comes from the Milwaukee sewerage plant.
Right.
That's how it got its name. Anyway, after so long, this lagoon fills up, and it has to be emptied. Well, the common way of doing it is you have to drain the lagoon and dredge the biosolids and load them on trucks, and a lot of people land apply them, farmers. But that's very,
so it's a fertilizer,
right?
Basically, yeah, it's a wonderful fertilizer.
That process is very expensive. Not only the draining and the dredging, but the fuel and the trucks and the manpower. It's really an expensive deal. So Tom Wooders, who's the manager of the treatment plant, thought, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
So we had this biosolids tested, the EPA and the Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality, and it's really good stuff, safe fertilizer. So we grow plants, flowers, shrubs, not so many trees just because it takes up a lot of room, and we sell them at plant sales throughout the year.
But that sludge, when you take it out, then you have to dry it.
Right, we put it in.
You got those big drying.
We have dedicated greenhouses, which just uses the sun. You know, those greenhouses get up to about 121 degrees. We dry them, and then we mix it with wood chips, which Carroll Electric, when they cut down trees, bring them to the plant and ship them for us. So that's all
Wonderful.
donated.
That's great.
And it makes the most wonderful potting medium you could imagine. You know, when we have piles of it, people will come and get it for their gardens. You know, we don't have that much to spare right now because we use a lot of it.
Right, you do use almost all of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Hopefully, in a year or two, we'll be able to bag it and just
Oh,
give it
that would
away.
be great.
And it's such good stuff.
But you've done such wonderful things with the proceeds from those plants that you grow and sell.
Yeah. Since when we have our plant sales, all the money that's donated we give away. And so far, we've given away right around $75,000.
Oh, that's marvelous.
To University of Arkansas horticulture scholarships, the Bella Vista Library Kids Program, Shop with a Cop, Children's Advocacy Center, the Cooper 4-H.
I know it's a long list of people
It's
that
a
you...
huge list,
Yeah.
and they're all local. And we do a lot of stuff with the Benton County 4-H. We give scholarships to them too. We try and keep it a little horticulture related,
Yeah.
if we can.
Yeah.
But it's all given away, and it's just, and luckily, it's what I get to do. It's my job.
Oh, that's great.
Is to run this program.
Oh, I think it's wonderful that the wastewater plant has, you know, encouraged this.
Right.
To use that.
Oh, absolutely.
that
And you know,
sludge.
recycle,
Right.
recycle. Right.
It's
So,
wonderful. And then we also, the Master Gardeners also work with the Nature's
Absolutely.
Calling and the Bella Vista Garden Club. You've been wonderful to the garden club. We plant our diggings there, you know, for our plant sale. We'll dig up plants and we'll go there and pot them. And,
Sure.
and then you tend them for us and with that free water that
free
we
water.
have. And it's just a great cooperation.
It
between
really is.
the three.
It really is. Yeah, it's I've met some really, really neat people
Yeah.
over.
Well, you farm such good relationships.
You do.
You know,
Yes.
gardening brings so many people together in so many different ways.
And exactly, and so many really, really smart people. So it's fun to, you know, it's just fun to network.
And you
with all
learn
these-
you learn all the time.
Absolutely.
You're always learning.
Absolutely.
Well, and I know you do a lot of propagation with seeds and cuttings.
Yes,
and we're going to talk about that today.
Okay, good.
And now the seeds, as far as Nature's Calling, you basically buy your seeds.
Well,
But some
we
seeds
do.
we save.
Right. In the spring, we sell a lot of tomatoes, and I do buy those seeds. But I take seeds from, oh my goodness, butterfly weed, red and purple salvia. I take really anything columbine, anything that's going to give me seeds, I'll say.
Crape myrtles.
And crepe myrtles.
You had some
right.
wonderful crepe myrtles.
And, you know, all of the winter, I'm out in the greenhouse and just planting and listening to the radio. And
Yeah. Then we found out, I have a lot of columbine seeds and I've given you over the years, and I know we
Yes.
found out that October's the time you plant the
Absolutely.
columbine seeds. For a while we were planting them at the wrong time of year, so it's important to know when to plant those seeds.
Yes, it is.
And how to prepare them. Now the tomato seeds are a little bit harder to save than say columbine or,
Right.
or 4 o'clocks, but
Right.
you have to soak them and get that,
film.
film off of them. And then after that film is off, you soak them for a few days and change water and get that film off, and then you can store them.
Right.
You know.
And a lot of people do that, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
work great.
Well, that's how the heirloom tomatoes are here,
Exactly.
because those people save those seeds and
Right.
they, they do them properly so that they will, germinate. So, saving seeds can save you a lot of money.
Yes, it can.
Because you buy one plant, for $8, you could probably get 2,000 or 3,000 seeds for that money if you go buy,
Exactly.
buy seeds.
Yeah.
So, now the others, what other seeds do you do? Just the
Well, the butterfly weed.
butterfly weed.
Then
Now,
they're milkweed, I guess. They're the
Yes.
ones that float around with the white
air.
feathers, and that's a very easy one to propagate.
And that is so important to keep the milkweed in our gardens. The
Absolutely.
butterflies are in such stress.
Yes.
The monarchs that we're almost at a critical stage with monarchs.
Right.
So if everyone would just put milkweed in their garden and that butterfly weed,
Absolutely.
it would really help, because that's their host plant.
Right.
And it's the only plant they lay their eggs on.
Right.
And if they don't have that plant, they can't lay their eggs. It's just so necessary.
Those plants truly do. You could have, I have some at home and down at work, and I've seen 50
Oh, yeah.
butterflies at one. It's
They just
beautiful
cover
and
the
it's
plant.
amazing. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
We really need the milkweed and
We
the
do.
native plants. We have to,
Right. And that's
concentrate more on native plants.
one reason why that one's so easy to propagate, because it is a native.
Right.
It's used to our climate and our
Right.
lack of rain sometimes.
We do have a lack of rain. Okay. And then cuttings. I know you also do cuttings.
I do. In the our plant sale we have at the end of April, and so I start about January. One of the easiest and really most fun to do, because it's such a pretty plant, is Coleus. It's an annual, so if you want to do it, you have to dig it up out of your garden before it freezes.
Right.
But you just cut off a stem and plop it in water, and 3 weeks later you can plant it.
That's right.
It just roots. It's amazing.
Well, I had bought that like 2 Coleus from the wastewater a couple years ago and put them in a big pot, and they grew to be about 3 foot tall. Then I take them down to you
Right.
in the winter time or in the fall, and you store them in the greenhouse for me, and then you
babies.
take cuttings, you get all these babies off, and then I come back, I have another plant, you know, my same plant.
Exactly.
And it just thrives again. So we've been doing that for what, 3 years
A
or
long
so?
time. Yeah.
The same plant.
And
But they're very easy to propagate.
Very easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're fun.
Yeah. And then I know I've also cut the variegated privet
Yes.
is another one that's fairly easy.
Right. That, and I do Weigela, and the Weigela I do in water. Some plants are different. We also do 9-bark, which is a
I love
neat,
9-bark.
neat shrub.
Again, that's a native
That's
plant.
a native. And those I do just in a sand bed. Just use a little root toner. I kind of cut it at an angle so there's a bigger surface than if you were just cutting straight across. Dip it in that root toner and plop it in the sand bed and keep it watered.
Right. They're really, now some are more difficult.
Right.
I know I've cut the sky pencil holly,
Hollies are
and hollies are very difficult. You may get 1 out of what, 20 to root
Yes.
if that.
Some
They're
plants
just hard.
you just can't
And I tried it
do.
too, you know, after I gave you mine, and they say you should scrape the stem.
Right.
You just scrape that stem off at the bottom to give it more exposure
Right,
for those roots.
right.
And then put it in the root tone, and then put it in a moist sand and vermiculite.
Right.
And then put that in a plastic bag to hold the moisture in, like a little mini greenhouse.
Okay.
So that's what I did, but then after I checked it 2 weeks later, they were just, you know, not going to root.
You know, some
So-
plants aren't made to propagate easily, I
right.
guess.
And you know, if you have a greenhouse and you have all these technical, you know,
Right.
people knowing exactly when to cut and how to cut,
Exactly.
maybe it might be different.
Well, and the time.
and it takes time. Yeah. So, but you still can, you know, propagate a lot of the, you know, the Weigela and the.
Oh, absolutely.
And then I also saw on the website that honey is good to use for your cuttings. They were cutting rosemary, and they cut it at a nodule. That I guess down the stem there's little nodules. I never really looked at rosemary that carefully because I know they're fairly easy to propagate.
Right, right.
And anyway, dipped it in honey, and
So
then
interesting.
put it in soil. Or they put a teaspoon of honey in water, and then let the roots come out in water. Now they say sometimes that if you have roots that develop in water, they're more fragile
They are way fragile.
than in the
Yes,
soil.
yes.
So you really have to be careful after you take them out of the water when you plant them. They are fragile roots.
That you have to be real careful because they'll break off, or
Right.
yeah, you have to be
So
real,
you have
real
to make your
careful
hole
with that.
and
I just
slip 'em
usually
in.
use just
Like a
if I have a
pencil?
tray, just stick a pencil down in there, and just so you're not shoving those roots through the dirt.
And damaging.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just kind of mound it up there gently. You have to
But that was
baby
really
cuttings a little.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
But I was really surprised about the honey,
I-
but it is antibacterial.
Right.
You know,
That
and
is
it makes sense.
It
that
does.
would-
It does make sense.
Because then you wouldn't have any bacteria in your water to, you
Right.
know,
Right.
kill the plant before it roots.
Before it
So-
gets a chance to
But
start.
that was really an interesting
that is,
observation.
yeah.
So, but you learn so much on the website.
Absolutely.
You know, there's so many things you can learn.
What did we ever do?
I don't know. I don't know how we
Before
survived.
the internet.
I don't know how we survived. And the other thing I do with cuttings is the basil in the spring. I guess you could do it any time in the summer even, but I buy my basil and then I cut off the tops, and they root in water within a matter of, you know, a week or so. But they're very easy to propagate.
Right.
And
Right.
so you buy 4 and then you have 8. And then if you want some more, you can cut
Yes.
those tops off. And
it's so nice to have fresh herbs in the kitchen.
Yes.
It's
Oh,
just
yes.
so nice to cook with fresh
and
herbs.
basil, you know, I just make so much pesto with my basil. I love pesto.
Exactly.
So, and flavored vinegars too. I like the flavored vinegars. The other thing is, I think you propagated sedum, like the autumn joy.
Yes. Now there's sedum. You know, there's two types. There's a little teeny ground cover kind. I've never tried to propagate that, but the autumn joys are the ones that grow up more like a small bush, I guess. Almost cactus-like. Their leaves are, and if you just cut a leaf, literally, you can just put it in some dirt or some sand, and it'll root.
But you don't cut the actual stem off.
No, I do
You
leaves.
just do leaves. And then you put those in sand?
Just put them in sand.
And then keep it moist.
Keep it moist.
No, I haven't tried that.
It's just, they say you can, I don't do cactus. They say you can do that with cactus too, but
yeah, I haven't tried that.
I think it's the same principle, and that's real easy to do.
Right.
No, you're not going to get a giant plant the first year.
It takes a while.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those small plants, after you propagate them, you have to be patient.
Exactly.
Be a patient gardener. So, and I'm trying to think if there's other plants that we've propagated together. Oh yeah, you have some beautiful crepe myrtles.
We just do those from seeds. The one thing about crepe myrtles is if you have a beautiful red one or a beautiful purple one, it's not necessarily going to come back that same color. From which we found out. Because, you know, the pink are kind of, everybody's got them. And I know down at Nature's Calling, people want the red and the purple. So one year, we just did all seeds from a deep red, beautiful bush. We got all 4 colors coming up the next year.
You got white too? Oh my, I thought they were true to the plant.
Apparently not.
Well, that's the other thing with seeds. Some seeds are true to the plant, like the columbine.
Right.
If you pick a seed from a purple columbine, you'll get a purple columbine.
Right.
It'll be like the mother plant. And 4 o'clock is another one. And but some like the daylily seeds could be anything.
Okay.
They're like brothers and sisters rather than twins.
Right.
And that's the way I remember it, you know. And some seeds are going to be exactly like the parent, and other seeds are going to be like their children.
Right.
They're going to be different. So you just have to know what you're going to get, and then don't be too surprised if you get something different than what you planted. So, but it's always fun to
it is fun
to propagate.
It is.
Yeah.
And it, you know, when something goes well and you've got it out, it gives you a sense of accomplishment a little bit.
Yeah. That's my baby that I grew.
That's right.
So, well, let's see. I guess the other area at Wastewater is all the plants the plantings you've been doing. It's almost like a botanical garden over there now.
Well,
you're doing a lot of plantings.
A little bit, yes.
And making it really.
We have on the driveway, you know, it's a sewer plant, so
you're trying to
dress it up a little bit, you know. On the driveway going in, I don't know, we have maybe 10 crepe myrtles.
Yeah, 10 or more.
And I think probably 8 of them bloomed this year. A lot due to all the good rain we got in the spring.
But they don't get any care there.
Oh, they get no care.
No care at all.
Absolutely none. We don't
they're
water
so
them.
tough.
Right. And it's pretty driving in. And we have a whole bed now of ornamental grasses, which I've just started, and those are propagatable, you know.
Yeah, just by division.
Well, and I do it by seeds.
Oh, you do? Oh.
The ones that have the pods or the feathers or the ones that have seeds
blooms,
will propagate that way, and they're easy to do.
I had no idea you were doing that.
But we do have a pretty big sized bed of, I don't know, 8 or 9 different grasses, and that's really pretty because some of them are reddish and some of them have pink blooms or plumes, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's fun.
Oh, I had no idea. That's great. Because
Yes.
grasses are so important in your landscape to have that movement, you know, of the blooms in the winter.
Yes, and they're another one. Once they're established for a year or two,
yeah, you don't have to
forget
worry
it.
about them
You don't
or
have
water them or fertilize or
Right,
anything.
right.
So that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to look for those grasses.
it's right when you drive in.
And then you had the blue star there too.
Oh, the Arkansas Amsonia is a
Yes.
native shrub. It's my favorite plant of all time.
Is it?
Yes, it's one where it just keeps growing out and out and out, and it gets rounded and it's soft.
Yeah, and
The leaves are just soft, and it gets really pretty, almost lavender blooms. It's just a wonderful.
But it puts out babies from the
It does
seed.
put out babies.
And I have a few babies I've pulled.
And I do.
And also, when we run a Master Gardener tour, one of the gardens was illustrating how to propagate the blue star by cuttings.
Oh.
And they did cuttings and put them in the
Okay.
sand. And just the little, end tips.
And that worked?
And it worked wonderfully for him.
See, the two that I have, I probably get 50 babies that I just dig up. So,
Right.
yeah, and plant those every
But then,
year.
if you want more, then you can,
Right.
just cut the
Interesting.
tops and propagate them like we talked
Right.
about, cutting that stem a little bit.
But that's almost, when we have our plant sales, people will ask, and every person, I think almost 100% that I show that plant to takes home a baby.
They
because
want one.
It's just an amazing
I
plant.
had that too
Yeah.
from you. So that's another great plant to propagate and
Yes.
to grow because it's native
Right.
and it's a beautiful plant.
Right.
So, well, I guess we need to talk about what we need to do in our garden for August, other than
Okay.
all this propagating that we're going to be doing now.
Right, right.
So,
Well, we need to take a glass of iced tea with us.
Oh,
Oh my goodness.
the heat set in.
heat.
It's August. It's August in Arkansas. And that's the time we retreat to our garden, from our garden, and we just go out and water and deadhead. That's about all we do out there.
Exactly.
And it looks like the faucet was turned off after all that water we had in June and some of July.
Right.
And now it's like,
Yeah.
the water's gone.
Right.
So you have just, monitor your plants, make sure they're getting the water, and the faucet water that city water or whatever is not like rain.
No, it's not.
And they don't really like it as well as the rain. So if you can have a rain barrel,
Oh,
to use for your
absolutely.
watering of especially your plot pots and your annuals,
Right,
they really
right,
like the rainwater. Some of your annuals are probably getting a little leggy right now, so you need to kind of trim them back and fertilize them. Be sure when you fertilize to make sure they're watered and not dry,
Right.
because the fertilizer can,
can
burn
burn.
the roots if it's dry, and you might want to try to take some of your herbs and make some vinegars or oils with
Oh,
them,
sure.
flavored oils.
Yes.
And then you mentioned too earlier about taking your mint and making ice cubes.
Right. Just make it, I don't know if people have ice trays anymore with.
I have a couple from my pesto, yeah.
And just put a little leaf of mint in the ice tray and freeze it, and it's really nice in tea.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
A little refreshing.
Yeah.
So, and I also dry my mint too. And,
Yes.
And maybe use it in some cakes or muffins.
sure.
It's great
Oh,
for that.
yeah.
So, and then perennials, you have quite a few perennials
Down at the plant?
At the plant,
Yes,
yeah.
we do. Yeah.
And
And
then-
as far as the garden goes, mums right now should be almost blooming
Mine are
or
some-
just kind of popping out. That's always fun. I like. And fall asters. I have fall asters,
Yeah.
purple asters in my garden too.
Yeah.
Otherwise just deadhead what's the spent blooms. There's not a whole lot to do, I don't think, with perennials right now.
No, just deadhead and water.
Yeah, and water.
Yeah. And then lawns, they still require that inch of rain a week. You got to, if it doesn't rain, you need to get at least an inch of water on
Right,
the lawns a
right.
week. And hold back on fertilizing any of your lawns, and raise your blade till maybe 3 inches.
Right.
Make sure that you're not cutting
'Cause
too
it's-
low, and give them some shade on those little roots there.
Absolutely.
And then roses. This is the last month to feed your roses. This is getting to the end of the season for the roses. And luckily, we haven't had any Japanese beetle problems to
No.
speak of. I've seen 3 Japanese beetles in the garden this year.
I've seen none.
And I saw hardly any on the golf course,
Yeah.
which we'd see hundreds of them.
Right.
So I'm not sure if that cold winter we had a couple years ago or these drought, I don't know what's causing the Japanese beetle decline, but we're loving it.
But absolutely.
We're loving
Absolutely.
every minute of it. So, but just be sure you fertilize. And you fertilize your roses and, again, water them before you fertilize.
Right.
And then watch for any of your aphids or,
Oh, yeah.
spray the plant with a hose if they have aphids
Right,
and knock
right.
them off. But the roses are pretty much getting to the end of the season, but they'll have a nice flush of blooms in the fall when it cools off a little.
Yes.
And then your trees and shrubs and evergreens and
Yeah, and I just learned something this morning. The Bagworms?
Uh-huh.
I had always heard for years and years, it's not going to harm your plant or your tree, but if it's ugly or you don't like the thing.
Oh, you mean the webworms?
Webworms.
Webworms.
Cut off the limb, just to get rid of that awfulness,
Yeah.
the netty.
Yeah.
Well, I learned this morning that if you slice that open, wasps will come in and attack the webworms, and
That's their natural.
yeah.
They're natural. They're natural predators.
Right,
So is the
right.
wasp.
So that was interesting. I always thought you had to get rid of the limb. Or,
Well, some people cut the whole limb off, but if it's going to misshape your tree,
exactly.
you know, I know they're not pretty to look at,
Right.
but if it's going to, you know, damage the shape of your tree, just split open that bag and let the wasp.
What a great idea. Let nature do its thing.
Right. And then bagworms are those little brown
Yes.
things that come on your evergreens mainly.
Yes, and those you put in plastic bags
Well,
or
I'm always told that you want to kill them. You
Right,
want to destroy them because they'll go on to another plant, you know, eventually. So a lot of people just put them in a bucket, you know, to pick them off the plant, put them in a bucket, put some gasoline or starter on there and burn them.
Okay.
Or you can just put them in a plastic bag and seal that bag totally so there's
Right.
no air, and you know that'll get rid of them
Okay.
and put them in the trash. But you don't want to just flip them out in the woods,
Right.
you know, or flip them in your garden because they'll just come back.
they'll just exactly.
And they can defoliate an evergreen in a very short time.
Yes.
So, and there's also in the spring, I think there's a spray that you can spray in the spring for the bagworms.
I think I've been lucky. I've never actually had much of a
Yeah.
problem at my house with that.
I
so.
haven't had too many.
But I just driving by on some of these roads.
Oh, and I see them, you know, just hanging on the bushes.
Yeah.
And think, please take those off and get rid of those.
I know.
So, yeah, but just, you know, check your trees and shrubs for water, keep the moisture.
Right.
You know, like I said, they were so spoiled this spring with all that rain.
And it will rain again, and you know, as fall comes on,
Right,
so it won't be forever.
yeah,
but
yeah.
we have about another month, I think.
And then your vegetables, you know, the tomatoes are finally starting to turn red after all the green tomatoes for so long.
Yes.
So, you know, harvest your vegetables, and you can plant your cool weather crops pretty soon, maybe the end of August or so when it cools down. Like your Chinese cabbage, beets, collard spinach, you know. I think you can probably lettuce maybe in early September.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I've had some lettuce, you know, coming back even from what I planted this spring. It's kind of shaded a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, that's
They're
neat.
coming back a little bit.
Sure.
So, anyway, for more information on gardening, you can go to the Master Gardener website.
Right.
And get more information. And the Bella Vista Garden Club
Absolutely.
has a wonderful website with a lot of information. And that's bellavistagardenclub.com.
Okay.
It's very simple to remember.
Right. Right.
And our new year starts in September, and we'll start having meetings again. We take the summer off and a little hiatus and work in our gardens and, and look in our catalog, see what we're going to add to our garden.
I got my first catalog.
You know, the catalogs will be coming in soon. And the first meeting is going to be on September 23rd. That's the fourth Wednesday. And we have 5 Wednesdays in September, and some people think it's the last Wednesday, but it's the fourth Wednesday. And, you know, we encourage people to come to the Garden Club meetings and learn, you know, from our speakers and from our members. And we just, guests are always
wonderful
welcome.
garden club.
And you have a little lunch, and, you know, it's just a great little organization. So,
and they do a lot of good things.
we do, and we're going to be doing more good things this year. We have a big slate of projects this year that's a little different, so you have to watch what the garden club's going to be up to. So, anyway, be sure to come to the meeting and learn about what we're doing. So, and thank you, Kitty, for coming today. We always learn so much from you, and I love to share information. And
thanks for having me. I love doing this.
Yes, it's fun. Okay, well, thank you for joining us today, and I hope you enjoyed the program and will join us next month. And until then, don't forget to stop and smell the roses.